Okay, this is controlling, narrating presentation, the function of controlling in an organization. So we're going to talk about organizational control, and when we talk about control, it's the actual management activities that they will implement to control the employees. It's the process of making these activities consistent with the strategic planning and the goals that were outlined. And once you have these goals and these plans, the next step is to actually implement them. Who decides this? It's going to be the managers, but they have a tremendous amount of information at their fingertips, and the role of management when it comes to controlling is deciding what information is important. What are you going to monitor? What are you going to implement? So when you have this data in front of you, having good data is what's critical to analyzing the performance. If you have poor data, well, then the control will be poor. You're only as good as your data in this sense. So, control is the management actually implementing the different types of processes. And it's up to that management team to decide which style of control that they're going to implement for their organization. Once they know the data, once they know what style of control, then it's making the necessary changes as the next step. So, open book management. It's all about sharing information from the top of the organization all the way down. A lot of information will be shared regardless of what a department you're in or which level of the food chain you're at, so to speak. A lot of active participation in every function of the company, lots of teamwork, a lot of people sharing ideas through departments and within departments as well. Open book management is where the employees see the financial condition for themselves. The employees are well aware of how the company is doing, and the employees are well aware of the financial condition of the company. And so what does this do? It makes the workers feel important, that they're part of the long-term plan. Once you get an employee involved in that process, they're more likely to do a better job. This can involve profit sharing. The workers are involved with the overall management and success of the company. So their motivation to succeed is, being intimately connected to the success of that company. So we're talking about a team concept here versus just one individual doing one individual task. That's what open book management is essentially about. What's its objective when you're talking about open book management? It's, every employee acts as if they are an owner. And if you think about the companies that are out there, not many of them actually implement this type of policy. And when they do, everyone acts as an owner. It can be very successful. And how do they do this is, the financials of the information, all the different budgetary and financial reports are available to employees. There is an understanding of the long-term goals and objectives of the company. They're not only understanding what that is, but they're also involved in that. We talked about accountability in open book management. Each employee is actually accountable for their own role in the company, and every employee is accountable as an owner. Is what the hope is with this objective style. So, a lot of companies out there, international companies, operate in a secret type of way. Not every secret of the business on how they make money and maybe how they have a competitive advantage is known to every employee within the organization. And perhaps some financial information should not be shared. These can be disadvantages of the open book. Depends what type of business we're talking about, but that can definitely lead to some secrets being shared that might not want to be shared. So we're going to talk about budgetary controls that are used in open book management. The organization at the start of a year, start of a quarter, will set specific budget goals. How much will the money spend in area X or area Y? There's going to be a limit on these expenses, and they're constantly going to be monitored to see how the budget is progressing, and you make adjustments along the way. Does the organization have enough cash on hand to meet their bills or their debtors or their debts? The assets, where the assets at, as far as the salaries go. Maybe we can hire new people. Maybe we'll need to trim salaries. How much inventory is on hand at any specific time will also dictate the long-term budget for the organization. So, open book management, the budgetary controls are as follows. The expense budget is where you really want to look at how many expenses for each department, or what are the anticipated expenses for the quarter or for the year. You have to know what the expenses are going to be so you can plan to make sure you can meet those budgets. How much revenue is going to come in? That's when you talk about the revenue budget. How much anticipated revenue for the quarter or for the year. You're going to need to know these things so you can balance your revenue versus expenses. The cash budget, daily or weekly integral reports. Where are we at for the day? Where are we at for the week? How much are we spending? How much is coming in and how much is going out? Capital budget has to do with brick and mortar. How much are you going to plan to acquire as far as major assets? Maybe it's a new building, or maybe it's a new piece of equipment. That would be your capital budget. Zero-based budget is another budgetary control of open book management, and that's where you're budgeting each purchase starting at a flat line of $0, and that way you can really tell if if that purchase or if that project is going to be financially wise or unwise. Open book management, the financial controls are as follows. Open book shares financial statements. Maybe they'll put them on their website. Maybe the department will have weekly meetings or quarterly meetings as to where they are financially. As we know, the balance sheet shows the assets versus the liabilities, very basic accounting information. The income statement shows a financial snapshot for a particular moment in time, maybe for a year, maybe for 5 years. That is the income statement. The liquidity ratio is how much cash is on hand versus the amount of debt obligations that you have. The liquidity ratio will give you a good idea if you're able to meet the debt and pay your bills, so to say. The activity ratio measures the internal performance in regards to management activities. And this is the ratio that can kind of gauge as to how management is doing. It's an internal ratio as it pertains to management. The profitability ratio shows profits from sales and assets. The leverage ratio is about the new projects that you hope to do, but these are going to be leveraged with debt. So you might want to be very careful when you're looking at the leverage ratio. So we talked about open book management. It is decentralized control. Open book management really empowers the workers from top management all the way down below. Gives every employee the sense of an ownership of the company, that they are uniquely tied to the success of the organization, and it's a psychological type of management that will bring out the best of your workers. The employees think themselves as actual owners, and it has pride in their work, but the disadvantages is that the secrets of a company will kind of be brought out there into the light. So that is the narration for the open book management and the controlling presentation.